This is Don May Jr. narrating reels 1 and 2, which were put together by the guy who digitized them, from 1943. This is South Carolina. This is Chuck is the kid in the center. That's Mildred. This is Matt, Alexandra Matheson May, and this is Chuck May, and this is Charlie May, Dad's brother, and my cousins, and this is a group of the South Carolina people. And John had just been born. I think these are the Mitchells from next door, and I would have it written down. And this is Lou May Foster's dog, and I have the name of the dog written down somewhere. And this is my grandfather, Charles R. May Sr., who we called Pap, and it's in South Carolina. That's a close-up of Pap. So John had just been born, and I was 2 years old when this was taken. And the order may be mixed up. I never could figure out. We also know the name of this cat, and that's written down. I think on the left, on the right is definitely Pap. The left may be Wheezy. These are a couple of friends, and I have their names written down. Okay, I don't know if this is a South Carolina house or adjacent to a church or what. This is Lou May Foster and the maid Anna May. And she is Dad's half-sister. And this is her mother, Dad's stepmother, Wheezy May. And this could be Mildred and Chuck. We'd have to compare the picture to the other one that we know is Chuck to be sure. And Hopewell, Virginia is where we lived for a short time, about the time that I was born or a little after. And okay, to the left is Jean May, and I think to the right is Caroline, my aunt, Dad's sister, Caroline May, Razor May, maybe, or and then the two men are probably relatives or spouses. And this is Dad, Donald May Sr. to the left in his uniform, because this, of course, was during World War II. And this is Washington, D.C. Dad was stationed in Washington, D.C. as a radar expert. This is me to the left, Grandma Florence. Grandma Florence is Jean's mother, Florence Nightingale Stout. And that's meat that she's holding. So this is one of my prized pictures here, shots of Grandma holding me. And that's Grandpa Walter Stout, Florence Stout, and Jean Nightingale Stout May. And so I called them Grandma and Grandpa. This is Grandma. And this is Jean, my mother. And that's Walter, my grandfather. And this is Jean, my mother. And I don't know where this is, but perhaps it's Hopewell, Virginia, or perhaps it's Bethesda, Maryland. And now, again, I don't know who the woman and the baby is. The baby may be John May, and the woman could be Mildred or could be someone else. I don't know. But again, we have to compare. We have a lot of still pictures, and no one knew who this was. And I sent the picture to our relatives in South Carolina. And now this is definitely John May, who was recently born. Maybe he's 4 to 6 months old. And that's John. And that's Dad. And I can be seen briefly here. That's me, and in the background, and then I walk by. There's me walking by. So perhaps Jean was shooting the picture. This is just a military boat. And this is Aunt Maud, which is Walter's sister, and her husband, John Throckmorton. And there's Jean holding John, and there's Grandma Florence holding me by the hand, and Grandpa Walter in the background. I don't know who this is, but we've seen her in other films, and I'm to the left. That's me on the right, and the same girl on the left. This is me, Donnie. There's a package of Luden's cough drops, which were common around our house. That's me. So I was born in Pennsylvania in 1941, and I know that when Dad was going to study to be a radar expert for the Navy, this is Gene and me, he went to MIT, and we lived in Boston, and this might be Boston right here. And then we also lived for a time in Hopewell, Virginia, and that's me. And we lived in Bethesda, Maryland. The last place we lived before moving to California was Bethesda, Maryland. And Hopewell and Boston were after I was born. And that's Jean May on the right. And two of her friends, it may be her mother in the middle, or probably not, and it could be Nancy Walmsley, maybe Ruth Fenton. I don't know. Again, we'll have to compare with some of the still pictures to find out. This is Dad. And I'd guess it's in Boston since the dogs run by. Since he was going to MIT, he went to MIT and Princeton to learn. There I am. The license plate says 1944. Now we're back to South Carolina. I think that both reels 1 and 2, the original reels, were not in perfect order either. So, and this is a strange overexposure where the overexposure is probably upside down and backwards. Now here is Arlington, Virginia. So it's probably early Arlington, it's Bethesda, Maryland, on Arlington Road. So this is our house that we lived in before we moved to California, and when the war was over, we moved to California. So this is Arlington Road where we lived, suburb of Washington, D.C. Now this indicates